Hello and welcome to another Akeyless Getting Started video. In this video, we're going to talk about how to use Akeyless to provision public certificates to a server. In the video, we're going to show how to create a target for ZeroSSL, in this case, as the public certificate authority. And we are going to create a PKI certificate issuer for that target. And then we're going to use that to provision the certificate to the server in an automated fashion and show how the server is then protected with a ZeroSSL certificate. As always, we're going to start with our documentation, and we see in the docs working with a public CA, the prerequisites are to have an Akeyless gateway and to have a target for that public CA. In this case, we're going to be using ZeroSSL. And to get started, we're going to show that our server is not secure currently. And if we go to the ZeroSSL account, you can go ahead and click on Developer, grab your API key, and we're going to use that to create our target. So if I go ahead to my account, click on Targets, let's go ahead and grab a new ZeroSSL target. So if I go down to Certificate Automation, click on ZeroSSL. Next, I'll go ahead and call this my ZeroSSL target, and click Next. And here we're going to enter all our information. So we're going to input the API key, and you need to have an email address in order to do the verification here, and that should match the email address you used for your ZeroSSL account. It should be an admin account, and we're going to go ahead and enter our information. And the validation email will be usually the same as your username, which means it's optional and you don't need to enter it, or if it's a different email, then you can add that here as well. Then we're going to go ahead and click Finish. And once that's created, we can go ahead to the next step. So as we see in the docs, we need a PKI certificate issuer. So let's go ahead and create our PKI certificate issuer. Go ahead and click on Items, New, PKI certificate issuer. We'll call this ZeroSSL issuer, and we'll put it in a folder called ZeroSSL. Go ahead and click Next. We're going to choose the public certificate authority option, grab our ZeroSSL target. Notice that it changed the TTL to 90 days, which if you have a paid account, you can change that for up to a year. We're going to choose our gateway. We're going to make sure in our allowed domain list we have the server. So plug that in there. And the storage folder will be ZeroSSL/Certs. And we can just go ahead and click Finish. If you have any advanced information to add in, you can add that in yourself. Now we have over here our PKI certificate issuer. So the next thing we need to do is go ahead and generate a PKI certificate. And in order to do that, we first need to have a CSR, a certificate sign-in request, in order to issue that certificate. And to generate that CSR, I have the command over here, and we can go ahead and put it into our terminal. And you see here I have Akeyless generate CSR, and we're going to give it a name where we generate a key. In this case, we have the -- generate key flag. So it's going to generate a key called ZeroSSL key inside the ZeroSSL folder. And we're going to use the RSA 2048 algorithm. And we're going to give the common name, of course, that has to match, nginx-akeylessproduct.com. And we use our gateway for this as well. And we're going to go ahead and export the private key along with the certificate. So if I go ahead and click Enter, we see here the certificate request, and we see the private key along with it. And if we go back into our console, click Refresh, and there is our key. So if we copy that, we can go back to our PKI certificate issuer, go down to click Generate PKI certificate, and we'll put the CSR in there. And you can also grab the private key. It's not required, but you can put it in there and click Generate PKI certificate. Once that's successfully generated, we can go ahead and click Close. Go ahead and refresh it here because we put the folder here inside of our ZeroSSL folder. And here we see the Nginx AkeylessProduct.com certificate. And we're going to go ahead and open up our Amazon workmail. And we see that we have a new email in the inbox. And it is asking us to verify the domain. And our gateway will go ahead and automatically verify the domain for us. And it will install the certificate inside of our PKI certificate that we just got, and it will verify it with ZeroSSL automatically. So now if we go ahead back into our ZeroSSL account, we can see that it was issued. And if we go into the Akeyless account, we can go ahead back into the certificate and we will see that it is now valid. So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and provision this certificate into our server. And we have over here the inside of the server. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the provisioning option. And we're going to click on attach. And here we're just going to go ahead and put in the same information that we need to get into that server. I set up a previous target for that server with the information to log in. We're going to use the gateway. In this case, we need to add the remote path as well, where we want the certificate and private key to be located inside of our server. And we're going to go ahead and paste that in. In this case, I want them in the same folder. Go ahead and click attach. And once that's done, I now have the private key and the certificate in the same path inside of my server. So if I go back to my server here and I'm in the location already, and we see that the server CRT and server key are the current certificate and private key, and here are my new private key as well as the certificate. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick check here to read one of the certificates. This is the certificate, which means that this one is the private key. So if I go ahead and grab that information, we'll go ahead to the location where I can edit the document, where I can change the private key as well as the certificate. And then we're going to go ahead and reboot the machine. Okay, and here's the information, and I'm going to go ahead and edit this. The certificate is this one, and the private key we're going to put here. And we can go ahead and save that file, and we're just going to go ahead and do a sudo reboot. And now the server is rebooting, and once it is back up, we will go back into our server and show that we have a proper valid certificate. And we can go back to our server, our subdomain here, and click refresh. And we see that we now have a fully valid certificate that was given by ZeroSSL. So if we go here, we can see connection is secure, and we can see the details of the certificate here. And you can also, from the console, click on the three dots over here. You can do certificate renewal, where you can either generate a new CSR and key, or you can use your existing one already, and you would click renew, and it would automatically update and validate it, and then you would be able to provision that again. And you can also click on the three dots here, and you can revoke the certificate as well and add it to your certificate revocation list. So that is a demo on how you can provision a certificate using ZeroSSL and renew as well as revoke it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.